And good evening, everybody. So we are here again working on a pop track for television and commercials. Just 1 second, I'm trying to get the levels in my ears just right. I'm going to be messing with, this is, I think I talked a little bit about this last time. This is my Discrete 8, which is my new audio interface. It replaced the Scarlett, oh, there we go, that's so much better. Okay. Yeah, I can actually hear me. You can actually hear me. It's wonderful. Okay. This replaced the Scarlett 2i2 or 2i4 I was running previously. After many years of service, it finally stopped functioning, which I did not take good care of it. So yeah, I'm amazed I got as much time out of it as I did. This is the Antelope Discrete 8 interface. This is the software mixer for it, and it's got a lot of amazing built-in sounds. This is like an 1176 emulation. If you were watching last time, you saw me use this guitar amp sim, which just sounds fantastic. So it's really nice to have all these things kind of offloaded to an external processor, so my poor computer does not have to worry about these things. So without further ado, let's check out what we had last time as far as the song goes. This is a really poppy, happy, cheesy, upbeat song because that's what I've found to be the most popular as far as the kind of songs I write. This is what gets sold, and that's the purpose of these songwriting sessions, is to write music for licensing, for use in advertising, television, movies, stuff like that. So let's check out what we wrote last time. This was about an hour and a half's worth of composition from last Tuesday. Here we go. How's it going, Jeffrey? Okay, nothing too crazy from there on out. You can see it's just another verse and then another pre-chorus, and I didn't even label the last chorus, but it's there. So yeah, this fun, happy little upbeat track. I think the first 15 or 20 minutes or so of this stream will be me finishing up this track, putting the finishing touches on it, and you know, taking you kind of through a little bit of my mix and master process, and then we'll move on to writing an all-new track tonight, probably something a little funkier, something really like almost kind of EDM pop sort of thing. Should be fun. Love my covers of Mega Man X. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. I just noticed today that Spark Mandrill isn't on my iTunes and Google Play and stuff. I will put it up probably this week. I can't believe I didn't put that one up. I don't know why. This is a commercial jingle I allow companies to license. Yes, so this will most likely end up on my Audio Jungle profile. If you go to audiojungle.net, there's this whole marketplace of royalty-free music. So advertisers will pay a one-time fee to use my songs, and this plays. This ends up being a nice little chunk of my income. These advertising campaigns. Another chunk of music I write ends up with a publisher I work with, and that goes to like television sort of things. So I've been lucky enough to have songs placed in a couple TV shows through them, but unfortunately, because I have an exclusive contract with them, I can't show you those on here. It's a bit of a bummer, or I really would. But it's all along the lines of these tunes. So this is the same production process I go through to write those songs. I just can't stream them, unfortunately. The cover with the stage select. Yes. Now that one, unfortunately, I don't know that I can put that on iTunes and Google Play because it's technically a medley, and you're not really supposed to record covers of medleys. I would have to get a special license to do so. Guys kind of get away with it sometimes, but I don't feel like risking that. So for now, you just have to watch the YouTube video. I'm really sorry. I'm very glad you enjoyed it, though. Thank you. So let's move onward through this production here. I had a couple things come to mind as I was listening to this just now. I haven't really listened to this since we last left it a week ago, so this is almost like hearing it fresh for the first time, especially since I worked on the Lava Reef cover all week last week, so I've been in that mode, and then I've been doing some other recording stuff for some friends. This has been far from the first thing on my mind, this tune. But let's, the first thing that comes to mind is I want to change up this drum sound just a little bit. I want to save it. So I'm going to duplicate this out, call this drums old, and we're just going to shut that track off for a second. And now I'm going to bring in some... I'm probably going to start with Steven Slate drums and then see where we go from there. I'm not positive. And I'm going to take these effects out just for a moment. I was using this stock Ableton drum kit. This one, Core Batu. Okay. And it's got a nice sound. You can hear it here. I'll just solo it for a moment. But that snare just sounds a little cheap to me. I'm not crazy about it on listening to it this week. So I'm going to browse through some alternatives in Slate, maybe some alternatives in Contact. This is really the only major change I want to make to the production. And then we can move on through mix and master. What does Big Fatty sound like? See, I already like that better. We are going to throw a compressor on that right away. Just the stock Ableton compressor. Just to fatten it up a bit, as though it needs to be Big Fatty. Here we go. And there's just the slightest chance I might blend in some of that old drum kit too. Let's try it out. I think we're getting closer. And this is the point where I realize I don't need both of these guys running at once. So I'm going to group this up, copy that entire instrument rack, group this up, and throw this one in as a second instrument rack there. So now I have my original drum kit from last week and the new Slate one I just dropped in, and that means I don't have to have two tracks running. So now I just have one happy drum track. We're getting closer. I need a... There's a specific snare drum I want. It's from the CLA hybrid kit. This is my favorite kit in all of Slate. If you hear the drums in most of my videos, it's this kit. How do you make drum beats sound less cheap sounding? Civil Guy asks. A lot of it comes down to the programming more than the samples you're using. It's just like anything, it's more about the performance, even when that performance is hand programmed in, than it is about the instrument or the samples you're using. In the case of drums, it really helps if you actually know how to play the drums. And that sounds silly and kind of lame, but it makes everything about programming the drums so much easier. You know which hand you would physically use to hit that drum. So if it's your right hand, it's going to be louder. If it's your left hand, it's going to be a bit softer because that's a natural tendency drummers have. When you're playing, say, a drum fill, you know naturally which of those notes you're going to accent. And so you end up with... if you don't know these things, you end up with this kind of machine gun sound. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take 2 seconds to write out a drum fill and then show you how to make it sound like a human being played it. Here. Okay, here's a really dumb drum fill. What's going on here? Why aren't my notes snapping anymore, Ableton? Okay. Okay, so that doesn't sound like a real drummer played it. It sounds very robotic and drum machine-y. Especially if we turn up the tempo to like a heavy metal kind of... That sounds terrible, right? So I know how I would physically play this on a drum set. And I'm going to let that inform how loud each of these hits go. Now, this is your velocity slider. You said you work in GarageBand. GarageBand has these as well. It's not as intuitive as the way Ableton presents it, but there is a velocity slider for every single note in there. I know because like the first 5 years of music production I did, I was exclusively working in GarageBand. So I know I'm going to make this kick a little softer, that snare a little bit louder, and just watch as I go through each of these notes. It's usually an alternating kind of loud, soft, and I'm going for an overall crescendo here. And then watch as I make this little tom run, go up, dip down, and go up again. And now that's gone from, I'll just show you what we had before, to a much more human sounding. It's a subtle difference, but it makes, applying those concepts makes all the difference in the world when you're programming drums. There's a lot of great tutorials out there. Misha Mansour, in particular, the guitarist of Periphery, who's like one of the greatest drum programmers of all time. I think he was actually voted Drummer World's Best Drummer of the Year one time, even though he doesn't actually play drums, because he's that good at programming drums. He has a fantastic video out there that you should absolutely look at. Yes, the velocity plays a major role. Other things you can look at are playing with the timing a little bit so it's not perfectly on the grid. But at that point, you're approaching the level of work it would take to just actually learn to play the drums. So you might as well just do that too. It's good either way. At this point, most of my drums are triggered on the drum set. So I'll record the drums live, pull MIDI in from that acoustic drum set with physical triggers, and then edit the MIDI from there and work from there. And that's how most of my covers work now. So back to whatever the heck I was working on here. Let me get back to my tempo. Okay, that's the snare I was looking for earlier. Let's get back to our full. Much better. Okay. It may not seem like a big difference, but that snare drum was really bothering me. Okay. Other things going on in this mix. That acoustic piano was just a bit far forward for me. And you noticed me adjusting a couple things during that first playthrough. For example, this ping pong delay, the feedback was up so high, I was still hearing the first chorus when we hit like the pre-chorus. It was echoing so much. So I cut that out. Okay, I think we are just about ready to move into the mix phase. I think I'm done composing this song. I'm done arranging this song, deciding what instruments are going to play what part. And now I just need to mix and master. So the first step for me is to group up tracks by their instrument type. This is a lot easier for me in Pro Tools, but I'll do my best to approximate the same kind of idea here. We didn't end up using those claps. Yeah, let's cut that out. So first, just a little bit of organization. I don't need the demo track I did anymore, which was just me playing it in on a piano to get the idea for the melody. So we're going to delete that. We have the drums. We have the bass. We have the acoustic piano. I have a tambourine down here. I'm going to move that up to meet the drums. And then I want to get all my rhythm section instruments together, all my chords. So we have the acoustic piano already. I'm going to bring the electric guitars up to meet that. And that's this chorus, those upbeat, almost reggae chords, you know. Those right there. Which, man, those need to come down. There's electric guitars. As far as other rhythm section instruments, I have this clean verse guitar, which is... Oh, no, never mind. That's the chorus lead guitar. I misread that. Okay, so that's a lead instrument. That's going to stay... Whoops, not that way. Verse guitar. There we go. That's what I was looking for. This is that muted, palm muted guitar verse. That's coming up to meet our electric guitar part. I don't want to put it in that group, but there we go. And is that it? Oh, we've got an organ down here. That's going to come down here as well. Okay. We're below the verse guitar. All right, so now I've got everything mostly in the same place. What else do we have going on here? What is this? Oh, that's a rhythm guitar as well. That's... I didn't name that. That's pre-chorus guitar. You'll notice my color coding is so incredibly consistent and sensical. No, it's really all over the place because I'm almost entirely colorblind and don't notice that kind of thing. And this is what? Wait. Oh, we have two organs. Okay. Sometimes I do this. I'll create two tracks for the same instrument because it helps me split up the sections. I may want to EQ the guitars in the chorus, or the vocals in the chorus different from how I EQ the vocals or guitar or organ in the verse. So I'll have two seemingly exactly the same instruments hanging out right next to each other, and have them separated just so I can process them separately and differently. So let's see, I've got that there, pre-chorus, organ. And what else do we have here? What is this? This is, I think, my Rise and Hit, which is, I mentioned this last time, it's a Native Instruments library that has a really cool, it makes whooshes. They sound like this. It comes in handy. It's nice. So, now that we are all organized, I can mix, which I'm going to try to get some instrument groups going. So we get one here, and we're going to call that all capitals, drums. There's only one bass track, so that gets a capital. And we are going to get all the rhythm instruments together. Oh, I can't group them because so Ableton 9 does not let you group tracks within groups. Ableton Live 10 does have that feature, and I will be upgrading soon, almost exclusively for that reason. Well, we can do our best here. We're going to throw, I'm going to throw these two guitars in with the electric guitar track and just hope they get along well in there. Oh, it's not reaching the gate. Man, that's annoying. Okay, I'm going to throw that gate. I guess I had a gate running on our acoustic, or on our electric guitar track to keep it from being noisy. I don't know. Okay, we're still good. Okay, rhythm guitars all hanging out together. And let's see how that pre-chorus guitar handles it. Cool, that's nice. Okay, and now, since we can't get all our rhythm instruments together, we can at least get all the guitars together and all the keyboards together. So I'm going to group these, and these will be keys. And this will be rhythm guitar. And let's see if the chorus lead guitar will similarly get along in the lead group track here. Cool. That seems to be going nicely. Here's how that fits all together now so far. Oop, started the chorus. And then in the second verse, I think at the very end last week, I added this little like bell melody thing. Here's what that sounded like when it came in. Yeah. So since this is a weird one-off instrument, I'm just going to leave it hanging out but here by itself. It'll be fine. It can handle itself. So I'm going to pull it back in the mix a little bit. So we are ready to actually start our final mix down. The last thing. I've had an instance of Isotope Ozone hanging out there the whole time. I want to take that off just because I'd made a bounce to listen to in the car. And I like my test listens really loud, so I can get psyched up when I listen to them, but we don't want it on there when we're doing the mix. We'll get to Ozone very soon, though. So can we have these without the things in them? Okay, there we go. I want to see as many of these groups at once without, okay. Yeah, I guess that's okay. All right, so we're probably going to do just a smidge of volume automation as we go through this. Volume automation is kind of a way of like animating the volume between sections. So if I want the guitars louder in the chorus, but then to come down a little bit in the verse, we can use volume automation to do that. And it just makes the whole process a whole lot smoother and easier. So let's go right from the top and get our levels going. So right there, I want my leads down a bit. And there, they'll need to come up. I also noticed that drum intro was a bit weak, so I'm going to do something about that as well. Oh, I don't think I've used that shortcut since I switched to Windows. Control. Oh, it's just the delete button. Okay. Yeah, so this line represents the volume, and you'll even watch. If you look over here, you'll watch that number jump up when we hit the next measure right here. And if we were looking at the mix page, you'd actually see that fader physically jump. But I don't like using the mix page for mixing. I think I want those drums overall much louder. Where was that last? Where was the end of our... Did I delete it? Oops. This is all pretty decent. All I'm looking for is a nice balance between instruments, you know? I want this organ to be really subtle. Civil Guy asks if there's a single right way to master a track. That's the most complicated and controversial question ever. We will talk about mastering in just a moment. I think we're actually almost done with the mix, believe it or not. Okay, right here, two things I want to change. One, I need a kick on the downbeat of this, just because it sounds, I know we're going for a big surprise dropout, but it sounds a little too extreme there. So I just need a kick and maybe even a really light touch on the hi-hat. Just a nice subtle something. And we just need to pull the lead down a little bit for that 4 bars again. Just a bit. Not even that much. What does need to come down a whole lot are those ridiculous rhythm guitars. Thank you so much, Chill Guy and Tyler. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. It's a nice song. And here we got to add one more thing. What does this cymbal sound like? Can you play it for me? Does that not even do any? Oh, I'm on the cowbell. Sorry. Oh, that's terrible. I was looking for, oh, ride. There we go. Just a really subtle something to bring up the intensity of this very last bit of the chorus here. I want to see if this works. Really low. Those last notes don't belong there. And I think I want to remove one of those lead instruments at the very end, but I don't know which. Maybe it's the piano that's the problem. I think it's the piano. I want it to be much shorter notes. And we're going to do that telephone effect we did earlier. I forget where we applied that. Was that on the keys? Oh, that was directly on the piano. Okay. Too extreme. I don't know if that last note belongs there. I go back and forth on that. I'm going to leave it for now, and again, listen to this probably for another couple days before finally sending it off to most likely Audio Jungle, as I said. Cool. So now let's talk mastering. Mastering is a very simple process. It has one purpose, which is to get your mix to sound good no matter where you hear it, whether it's on a perfect stereo system, on studio monitors, on iPod headphones, on a television 20 feet away, no matter what, a transistor radio, it's got to sound good anywhere and everywhere, especially when we're dealing with advertising music for television. How's it going? I am Rain. Thank you so much. I love playing the Mega Man X tunes. That was absolutely one of my favorite games growing up, was the original Mega Man X. I played that for like literally years. Such amazing music, such amazing gameplay. Still like the tightest controls of any video game I've ever played. By far my favorite Super Nintendo. It's really close with Super Mario World. It's between those two. I don't know. Kirby Superstar is up there. Damn, there's a lot of good SNES games. I don't know. But it's good. I love that game. So yeah, let's talk mastering. Like I said, the purpose is to get it to sound good anywhere and everywhere. The best tool I have found for that, I often, pretty much always come back to iZotope Ozone 7, which we are going to drop that right on our master channel. And this is iZotope Ozone 7. They're on Ozone 8 now. I have yet to upgrade, just because I'm really happy with Ozone 7, and I didn't have a reason to. So it's a mastering suite. It has every kind of plugin you would want to throw on a mastering chain. They start you off with some of the basics, which are an EQ, a multi-band compressor limiter situation, and then a maximizer, which is really just a limiter. It's a big single band limiter. So it's going to squash down our track and bring it up to the level of loudness we need it to be to stand out. So we're going to start by looking at our EQ here as this plays back. Now, what I love about Ozone is it has... also, we're going to set up a quick loop here, just these 3 sections. Oh, no, I wanted this through that. Okay. Okay. Now, as we you'll see right there, Ozone has a built-in spectrum right behind the EQ, which makes working with the EQ so much better. And in fact, it puts that pretty much everywhere. Now, where we're going to hear most of our mix is in the chorus. I need to cut this bass already. And those guitars are getting on my nerves. Okay, back to mastering. And thank you. Yeah, I couldn't resist throwing in the Power Rangers solo in that tune. I was listening. There's a lot of like video game songs that use that exact chord progression. In fact, what was I listening to earlier? Flying Battery Zone. Because I was just going through some old videos, editing tags and stuff. And Flying Battery Zone uses the exact same chord progression too, so I totally could have used it in the middle of that too. The Power Rangers thing. So here's our EQ again. Okay, you saw I just made a couple little changes and already it's looking more level. I often notice when I get to the mastering stage, I notice a whole lot of things I didn't notice in the mix stage, even when the mix stage was 5 minutes ago. So just looking at a spectrum of the whole thing makes you think about your track in a new way, and you hear stuff you didn't hear before. Yeah, that's looking flat enough that I'm not even going to touch it. I might do a really, really subtle cut in the high mids because it was sounding just a little aggressive there for me. See, it's barely anything. I just wanted to push that down a little bit. It was a bit harsh around that, 1K, 2K range. Next, we move into multiband dynamics, which here, this is a compressor working just over the low frequencies, which here's what those sound like. Here's the low mids. This is from 140 to 2K. Here's the high mids, which is 2K to 10K. And finally the highs, which is 10K and up through the edge of human hearing at 20K. That's barely even there. So again, we have a nice spectrum here letting us know what's going on. I'm just going to do some light compression right at the edge of where each of these are playing right now. So you'll see me go through these bands and hit just the edge of this. It's really not doing much. And that's ideal, to be honest. You don't want to try to fix your mix in the master. If you're doing that, you didn't mix it right in the first place. Yeah, so I'll be honest, I have habits when it comes to mix or mastering. I have a few things I do to just about all my masters because I know they work. I'm at the point where I'm almost about to make presets for them. Not that I'm doing much here. I'm literally just walking this compressor threshold to the edge of the transients in each of these frequency bands and leaving it at the default ratio of 10:1, which is really, or no, sorry, 2:1, geez, yeah, 2:1, which is a really subtle ratio. And then I frankly have a tendency to pull the baseband down a couple dB just because I know it's going to be out of control no matter what. For whatever reason, mixes in this room, I know for a fact I have a bass buildup I don't want in here. And because of that, anything I mix in this room has a tendency to come out extra bassy. So I do a little cut in the baseband. Also, because, you know, this isn't like dubstep, it doesn't need to be this super bassy heavy thing. So I want more of the emphasis to lie in this mid-range than down here. And you'll notice this whole time we've been hanging out at this like -19, -20 dB, a really low range with lots of headroom. That's where I like to mix, way down here in volume, because I'm working at a high bit depth. I have a lot of headroom. This isn't tape. We don't need to be hitting, you know, the very edge of the meters all the time. So I like to wait to bring up the volume until this very last step here in the mastering stage. So the next thing I do with the dynamics is I will push that volume up, because I do want it up towards the edge when it actually goes out the door to wherever I'm sending it. So I'm going to push this up here. Okay, still riding peaks, you know, around -3 or so. And finally, we're going to bring in our mastering limiter. Now, I do 2 stages. I will do Ozone's standard maximizer. I always engage true peak limiting because I do not want to run any risk of clipping anything. And just to FYI, it's going to get louder. I'm going to turn down my headphones here. Now notice I am not totally crushing it. I'm not doing this, because that sounds terrible. That's everybody's first instinct when they get a mastering limiter. They're like, ooh, let's pull that down. But it's you don't want to do that unless you're making dubstep. No, we're not doing that. So this is a relatively acoustic, you know, indie pop sounding kind of track. So we want to leave a little bit of play in the volume. And I'm leaving a bit more room than I would in the end, just because I'm going to go to the second stage. The vintage limiter in Ozone, it's not doing anything drastically different from the maximizer. I just really love this very slight tonal character it tends to impart onto the mix. Gives it a little more kick. I don't know. It's nice. So I'm going to bring in a bit of that as well. So here's the volume difference we just did. Here's without Ozone. But that can be deceptive. Everything sounds better when it's louder. So Ozone has this awesome feature, this little ear hanging out down here. Makes it so no matter what you do, everything stays the same volume. So you can't fool yourself by thinking, oh, it's louder, it sounds better. So watch now as I bypass what I just did, and we see if I actually just did anything. So here is without Ozone. And with. It's a really subtle difference. You'll notice the final master is just a little bit clearer and a little bit more consistent in volume, but that's it. We didn't do much because you shouldn't do much in the master. You should have it right in the mix in the first place. I just want to turn off that ear because I worry it's freaking out my gain. Okay. And that's it. I'm going to call it a day for that track. I'll probably come back and do some very minor tweaks later, but that's probably where it's going to end up. So that'll be up on Audio Jungle later this week. If, once it's, Audio Jungle has to approve it, which takes forever. So once they approve it, I'll put the link to that both in this one and the one we started it on last week. So let's make a new one. Something weird in my drink. And thank you so much. Hang on, I have the window so tiny I can't read anybody's names. Alan, Bamana, thank you so much. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. So, we're going to start a brand new track now. I have literally no idea where we're going to go. All I know is I want a kind of upbeat, poppy track. I have a feeling it's going to start with a guitar. The last one we did was a very piano-oriented one. I wrote it on a piano first. I did not write anything before this live stream. So you get to see me putz around on a guitar for a few minutes while I try desperately to find a cool-sounding guitar riff to work with. I'm going to angle this down so you can actually see the guitar. Hang on one second. You still can't see the guitar. Downward. This camera kills me. Okay. All right, I'll try to angle it up or something. Gonna go to Audio Jungle right now. Yeah, check it out. If you're any kind of music producer or anything, they accept literally every kind of music except like really weird classical music or something. But if you write any kind of popular music or hip hop or anything, absolutely try getting your stuff on sites like Audio Jungle. There's other ones out there, Pond 5, Shutterstock, but Audio Jungle's been the best marketplace for me. I've had a lot of success on there. It's been really great. Very thankful for it. Do we have a guitar working? There we go. I want a clean guitar sound. How's it going, Matthew? Trying to find a guitar tone that isn't terrible. 1 second. I think the rock one was kind of cool. Yeah, except I don't want any distortion. Man. Tweed. I want something brighter. I'm not happy about this. Blackface with a... How about a 414 on that? That's what I'm speaking into right now, is a 414. That's this mic. Except they have it on backwards. The gold side is supposed to be facing the amplifier. They have it. That's funny to me. There we go. That's a brighter tone. That's what I'm looking for. So let's crank the volume on this. Oh, and hit the bright switch. That'll help. We're getting, I think that's a tone I like. So let's jump back into Ableton and start sketching out some guitar riffs. I wish I could get this pointed at my freaking guitar. Oh God, I guess that works. Can I do any Super Mario covers? You know, I've really been planning to. I had a whole Mario medley I arranged with like some stuff from the first 3 Super Mario Brothers games, a little bit of Mario Kart in there. Yes, I am planning to do some. But next up is a little bit more Mega Man. One of my patrons requested a tune. There's an option on my Patreon to request tunes, and somebody kindly pledged that amount. So we'll be doing a track from Mega Man X3 next. And then maybe we'll get to some Mario. All right, let's try some... geez, let's see where this goes. let me take a second to sketch some stuff. That wasn't terrible. I like the direction that's heading. I think it maybe got a bit too complicated there. I think that's better, leaving it on the G chord at the end. Can you sign up on my Patreon? It's patreon.com/longest-solo-ever. This is too fast. And what song is it in? What X3 song is it? It's a certain insect that's really heavy. Yes, Civil Guy, we finished up the mix and master. You should be able to like rewind to check that out if you want, or it'll be up on on just my channel later. So yes, now we're starting a new track. This is going to be a more upbeat. Oh man, my guitar's really quiet in here. Oh, that's terrible. Don't do that. Little better. Okay. Yes, so this is going to be like a happy pop song. Kind of EDM-ish, maybe. We'll go in that direction. Cool. I'm going to double that up. Well, let's, I guess, get over into arrange mode. We're ready for that now. Oh, I see the problem. I was recording my microphone. Here's what my guitar sounds like through the mic. Stupid. Sorry. Here we go. Here's a proper recording. I keep missing that. Oh, that's coming in too hot. Where is the previous song? Alan asks. It is still in an Ableton live session. It's nowhere yet. You mean whereas last week's video? It's on my channel. But if you're just referring to the song, it'll be finished later this week. Then I have to submit it to Audio Jungle. They have to review it, and eventually it will end up on my DeMarzo Music profile on there. Cool. I think we're going to go for a simplified voicing on this. Blast Hornet. Wait, are they all insects in X3? It's been a very long time since I played this. It's Gravity Beetle. That's the one I'm doing. I thought I was being funny with the coded reference to it, but yeah, I guess it's been a very long time since I played X3. I pretty much only played the original X, just because that's the one I know inside out, and I can kind of zone out while I run through it. I'd like to get into speedrunning that game. That sounds fun. Okay, that's better. My low A string is getting in the way on this. I might switch to my telly. Give me a second. Oh, why wouldn't this tuner work? Come on. Oh, there we go. This is my Telecaster. It's a Fender American Deluxe, I believe. I've had this for about 5 years, I think, now. That was my main guitar for a very long time until I got my Carvin. All right. I'm making your week. Thank you so much. Bye, Alan. Thanks for hanging out. Ah, too many chords. This guitar is so much quieter. No humbuckers. Much better. Okay, I think this guitar's tone fits it a lot better. That was really close. Except I forget how to play guitar. Jeez, come on, man. One more. There we go. And a second guitar track playing the same thing. There you go. You do the same thing. It's so hard to record music, isn't it? It's just like I can play fine when I'm on stage, but as soon as I sit down and actually try to play something and focus, it's a train wreck. Thank you. I hope you hang out next time. I'll see you next week. And let's get organized right off the bat. RG1, RG2. Going into a group. Now, when it comes to these guitars, I want to write the rest of the riffs for this song while I'm at it. I think I even have ideas for them. That's way too loud. Could I do Finesse by Bruno Mars and Cardi B? I don't know. I can't rap as well as Cardi B. So it's unlikely. It's a good song, though. I really like it. I love the original, and then I heard the remix with Cardi B on the radio last week, and it's really good. I want kind of like a big, upbeat rock chorus almost, you know? I think we're getting something resembling a riff. That'll do it. The original can work. The original's really good. I don't know. I'm mostly doing video game covers right now. That's what I like to do. Maybe some pop songs later. That's working. Where did I record that? Oh, on these. Okay. And I'm back. Okay, so now we've got two sections to work with here. A little cut off there. Yeah, getting closer. There we go. I'm always so terrified. That camera is literally just sitting on my monitor. There's no like adhesive or anything. So I'm always terrified you're just going to go tumbling over the back of my monitor and I have to dig you out from behind my desk. Doing Stone Cold. I want to get into some wrestling stuff. Yeah, that'd be good. I want to save this. Have a live streams folder? I thought I did. This is my very well organized. I'll just put it here, I guess. This is very well organized hard drive, huh? So we're making good time. It's only 9. Nice. We have another hour to work on this. I'm planning on going till 10 p.m., I think, unless I really run out of steam. Cool. So we're going to work with that right up front because I think that's a great way to start a song. Kind of reminds me of Pink's Raise Your Glass, that kind of feel. Yesterday, he came back to Raw. What? That's crazy. I haven't kept up with wrestling in a long time, but that's crazy. Stone Cold's back. Maybe it's a good time to do the theme then. I'll think about that. So this is a clean guitar 1. CG 1. CG 2. And let's get, I'm going to go with an alternate method of drum programming today. That is, maybe I don't want to use that. I want a nice kind of middle of the road kick. Yeah, that's subtle. Okay, these are good. So we're going to go with manually placing our kicks on the grid. Oh man, 25 years of raw? Jeez. That's crazy. Maybe I don't like it. Yeah, I want something a little more acoustic sounding. Oh, that's kind of nice. It's got a little hi-hat hanging out in it, but it's okay. I'm okay with it. So I'm physically placing these drum beats on the grid, and that lets me really visualize exactly how that all goes together. Yes, he did. He really did. Okay. You know what comes next, right? It's a tambourine. Go away. We're going to use a different tambourine loop than we usually do. This is another one I have. That's really nice. This will be the intro kick because we're going to use a much heavier one later when things kick in. So let's see what we got so far. And that's where a live drum set is going to kick in. And we are going to bring in Steven Slate right from the get-go. Steven Slate sounds like a wrestling name. This will be the classic pop kit. And I know for a fact that's going to need some compression, because we are going for really big sound here. And for whoever was asking about drum programming stuff, you're going to get to watch me do a lot of that if you're still here. If not, you get to watch this later when you tune back in. So notice I'm starting with this alternating loud, soft hi-hat pattern. But all my drums at this point, because we're going for outrageous, over-the-top, clean pop, I am making my kicks all 127, all the way up. Launch pads are really expensive, but do you know any more affordable ones? They're not too bad compared to like the Ableton Push or anything. It's funny you bring that up. I was literally planning on doing a review of my Launchpad this weekend. So if that's the one I end up doing, I'm between doing that and a video on recording metal guitars. I have yet to decide. I'm probably going to shoot it tomorrow. But, whoops. Did I just... Whoops. The Launchpad, it's definitely one of the more affordable things in that range of MIDI controllers. There's other things like it. There's the Launchpad Mini, which is great. I would, if anything, look at the Launchpad Mini. It's a great way to get started. But honestly, you don't need that stuff when you're just starting out. If you're already deep into music production, you're putting tracks together, it can make your workflow a little smoother. But get deep into music production first. Okay, that sounds good, but man, that drum set needs to be a whole lot louder already. And that's because everything else is crazy loud too. So we're going to start pulling our levels back. Just like I was talking about mixing the last track, we want to mix really low down with our levels. So we're going to pull this down, pull that down, pull everybody all the way down. Cool. Man, that sounds pretty okay for how little work I just put into it. We're going to do a little hi-hat open here. This sounds fun. Cool. And then we'll do a crash cymbal on the downbeat of the next measure. That was a really quiet crash cymbal. Come up. There we go. So we got this nice ramp up in intensity as we go E1, M1. Ooh, yeah, some Doom. I've been planning on doing some Doom, whether it's from the original or from the 2016 one, which, man, the 2016 one just has such good music. Everything, I'm blanking on his name. Mitch something? I don't know. The guy who did the soundtrack for 2016 Doom is an outstanding heavy metal guitarist. The BFG Division track, At Doom's Gate, which is like a remix of E1 M1, it's all so good. Rip and Tear, I'm definitely doing either a Doom medley or just straight up covers of each of those tunes, as well as good old E1 M1 as well. Okay, this needs something else to happen as well. I think we need some bass. We're going to go with the MIDI bass just because it's more consistent and reliable, frankly, than my bass playing. And we are striving for perfection here since this is pop. I might even use a synth bass. Let's get the old standby. Massive. So before Serum was like, Serum over here, of course. Before Serum was the only synth you ever used for anything in music production, Massive was the only synth you ever used for everything, especially if you were making EDM of any kind. This was like the most pirated plugin of, what would that have been, 2011 or whatever, whenever dubstep happened. Yeah, that's good. Then definitely check out the Launchpad. It's a really cool device. Like I said, I'm going to do a demo and review of it very soon. If not next week, then in the next month, because it's a really cool product and I want to get to talk about it a little bit. So we're going to start with building this on a sine wave. And I'm going to throw kind of a square saw in to blend with it just a bit. And let's start with that, and we'll build a tone from there after we get some notes down. Super Nintendo had a different tone. Yes. Yeah, I mean, just about every version of Doom has a very different sound setup, whether it's the same songs but played using different MIDI sounds or different chiptune kind of things, depending on the system, or straight up completely different soundtracks. In the case of I'm not up on my retro game system history, but I believe there were at least one port of Doom that had a completely original soundtrack that's also really good. It's not the classic one, but it's also really good. Didn't I make a Launchpad video? I did one like Launchpad heavy metal thing, I think. But I want to do a review where I talk about it at length, kind of go into depth on the features and how to use it, what the pros and cons of it are. So here is our bass track, if I can remember how I played this part. What's my buffer size set to right now? Oh, it's set really high. This might crash everything. Let's see. Hang on. Oh yeah, it doesn't like that. Hey, we're okay. Okay. And I can't remember my own riff. Now I'm trying to decide between matching the rhythm of the guitars or just doing straight eighth notes all throughout. Let's hear how matching the rhythm sounds. So for the first half of that, I matched the rhythm of the guitars. The second half, I played just straight eighth notes, and that was not good. Matching the rhythm worked better. So that's what we're going to keep. I'm just going to set up 16th note quantization, because man, am I sloppy on the piano. And I think this is supposed to be a B. Yeah, that sounds halfway decent. Let's run a loop over that while we decide on a cool bass tone. So I could talk for literally hours about synth sound design. It's one of my favorite topics. Especially in these kind of almost semi-modular synths like Massive and Serum. I don't want to say semi-modular, but things that let you hook up envelopes to other things and LFOs and stuff. What's my favorite boss in the X series? Favorite boss. That's really tough. Spark Mandrill was up there. And I have to say Chill Penguin, if only because he's the one I've fought the most over the years. Because that's always the first one in my run, and usually I'll get bored halfway through my run and stop playing, or switch over to I don't know, Super Hot or something. So I end up playing Chill Penguin every single time, no matter what. So I know his pattern inside out. So yeah, it's probably Chill Penguin. And man, do I want to do that music sometime, but it's hard. There's this crazy arpeggio going on the entire song. That's learning that arpeggio has held me back from doing that song. Chill Penguin. After I do video game covers and a couple pop covers, yeah, I want to get into doing some more TV stuff again. You know, I did Fairly Odd Parents and stuff. And there's a really old video of my old high school band playing Hey Arnold that has like a silly number of views. So, yeah, I want to get back into doing some more TV stuff sometime and some film, movie stuff. Toy Story theme. I don't know the Monsters, Inc. theme. Toy Story theme, I know. I used to know it on piano. I don't remember it, though. I'd play it now, but I'd make a fool of myself. I'll learn it for the next stream. So back to our bass sound design here. I love modulating these effects. Okay, that's good enough to play with for now. Okay, I think I want... Ooh, I heard something I don't like in that. This one should be short. Cool. Okay. I'm hearing some buzzing. Is that... That's my guitar. All of them except the ones you don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's such a good game. It's really just one of the best games on the SNES. The next thing I want to do is add LFO tool. So this is something that kind of replaced what a lot of sidechain compression was for me, which is to get this EDM pumping effect, which you'll hear exactly what that does to the bass right now. And we can make it really extreme so you never even hear the downbeat. I don't think I want to go that far, but we're going to do a little bit of an effect. And I'm going to copy that over here to our rhythm guitar as well. I'm going to make it so it's only active once we actually get into the groove of this. I do drum set tutorials and guitar tutorials. Yeah, man. I want to... You have no idea how many videos I want to make. I have literally... Let me see if I can... Here is the list of videos I want to do right now. And that's... It never ends. I never... There's literally like 200 videos on that list that I want to get through. And at most right now, I can do like one a week. I do eventually want to ramp that up and do more. But for now, I got to pick and choose. So let's hear that on the rhythm guitar as well. Let's not solo the bass. I want to hear what this sounds like with a little bit of a synth going on. And we are going to go to our dear friend Serum now. I want a kind of mellow sounding synth. I forgot my own chords again, man. Why do I keep playing an A major? That's getting better. I played an A6 in there for a second, and I'm not positive about it. Or a C6, I think. But let's see. Okay, we're going to do something fun here. Bring up Serum and... Okay, so Ableton, I talked a little bit about automation earlier, and Ableton lets me control literally everything in every plugin you could ever think of. And one of those things I'm going to control is the filter cutoff, which is this thing you see on the right. It's what makes it go from this sound to that sound. Why is it dancing? What's it doing? It's doing something. That's weird. So we're going to automate it up so it kind of opens over the course of this double chorus here, whatever this is. Almost like it's fading in, but it's not a change in volume, it's a change in frequency. Awesome. That sounds great. I have one more thing I hear that I really want in here. Metal versus pop covers. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that. Nobody watched it, though. That was the problem. Or I would have done more. But people like the video game covers, and so do I. So, plus that metal versus pop cover was like 10 times more work than any other cover I've done. And I wasn't even that happy with how it came out, and nobody watched it. So I'm not totally feeling doing those medleys again. But I might do the occasional like pop song gone metal. Okay, I hear except not with a rock tone. That kind of sound. I gotta get that just right. It's gonna sound dumb. That needs to not be in that group. Oh, because it's always getting hit on the by the LFO filter. There we go. That's what it sounds like. Jeez, I'm dumb. I thought about running Nestopia. I Nestopia is an emulator, right? I run an emulator called RetroArch, which is a kind of overall all-encompassing emulator for all systems. And then I run that through a front end called Emulation Station, which is pretty much how I play all my emulated games. So yes, I'm very much into emulation of retro games. I will definitely live stream some of that sometime. But live streaming music is more important to me, so I'm doing more of that for now. But we'll get back to gaming soon sometime. I like how this comes in. Okay, last step is for these drums to drop out. For that last bar. And here's why, because it sounds... I don't think it is. Maybe I'm mistaken. But I'm pretty sure that's what I'm running. I'll double check on it for you. Man, I guess that ended up being our chorus. I don't know. Well, what does this sound like? Because this is what I had envisioned for our chorus, was these two distorted guitars. Yeah, I guess we'll still use that. We are going to throw our... Wait. Oh, there we go. Our good friend LFO tool on this distorted guitar line as well. Because it just makes it pump. I'm not sure we can use the same bass for that, but here we're going to get a, let's group all our drum tracks together too. All right, here's where we get, if you've seen my streams before, you know this is the only one I use for EDM. It just sounds huge. So this is the arena kick. I don't know why they call it arena. It doesn't sound like it's in an arena. It sounds like it's in Skrillex' laptop. Where do I get my emulation files? That's a secret. Whoa. Oh. Ableton has this really cool feature that lets you convert audio to MIDI, and I have no idea how it works, and I'm pretty sure it's magic. Oi, that's loud. Okay. We're going to keep our awesome tambourine rolling here. And get a nice dance beat going on the drums here. What we had before was pretty much a dance beat as well. Oops. Up in volume, please. But we're going to get a nice 16th note roll going on the hi-hat. Except that sounds robotic as heck. Going back to velocity editing. Much more realistic. There we go. Lost my shortcuts. I'm going to see if this works. Hang on. Pardon my messing around. Okay, that wasn't exactly what I had in mind, but it kind of works. Let's get a really heavy bass rolling for the chorus. And this is probably going to be a multi-layered situation. Boy, Serum is just really loud out of the box. How's this even go? Cool. That was more complicated than it looked, I promise. I don't know, maybe that doesn't need anything else underneath it, you know? I might get a sub rolling. Oh. I don't know, there's so much bass going on already with just that sine wave, it's hard to say. And I don't know, let's try for a lead. I have a really vague line in mind. Leads are hard. If I could, I'd just write songs without leads. But they tend to sell better when they have leads, and they sound better. They should all have leads. I'm lazy. That was dumb and bad. Real quick, I'm going to go to my old standby technique of writing the sound on a piano. Because if it sounds good on a piano, it will sound good anywhere. Can't get that out of the way. Okay. Ah. Maybe even playing that piano in the chorus wouldn't be the worst idea. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest idea I ever had. But let's see if that lead works in there. It works for now. I'm going to layer that with a sound I always love. And I'm best at making this sound with massive. I should really make presets for this kind of thing. I use it so often. And here's the thing that makes this sound. Check it out. So it's this really biting tone. And it loses all its hit if you give it any kind of like unisono or spread or anything. So I'm going to leave it just kind of bare the way it is. Okay, let's see where that goes. And I'm going to put this right up against that verse. Okay, that lead sounds a little weak. Thanks, Matt. I just need something else, you know? Maybe it is a piano. Oops. But I just want that. We're going to try some weird stuff. Oops, not that one. I want chord. There was this great band in like the early 2000s. I want to say they were called, oh geez, I gotta look it up or I'm gonna sound like an idiot. Hang on. Yeah, okay, they were called Keane, Keane. They were known for their song Somewhere Only We Know, but they had this sick piano player who always played with like distorted piano, and he would play stuff like a... There were just these super cool distorted acoustic piano riffs. It was just the coolest thing to me at like, you know, age 11, whatever. So here's doubling in that lead with that thing we just made. Okay, yeah, I'm content with that. Now let's, since we're making really heavy pop, I have no qualms about throwing a vintage limiter right on the master, right out of the gate, where we're at right now. Just to make myself all pumped up about how this track sounds. Here we go. So it is going to get a bit louder. I bumped up the tempo. I'm not happy about that. Oh, and I said I didn't want this LFO tool active until the band came in. So we're going to deactivate it. Okay, that's a start. I think I'm gonna sit on that for a few days. I may add a little bit to that during the week, and then we'll check it out where it's at next week. I think I'm gonna call it for the evening. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I had a blast. It was really fun. We had we've had 54 people check it out over the course of the evening. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. Oh, it's having streaming issues. Okay, well, I hope the stream was good for you guys. I hope the quality's been okay. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. It is always a blast. Thanks to everybody who chimed in over the course of the evening. We had, Jeffrey Glenn, Civil Guy, Tyler Biggs, I Am Rain, Alan Bemana, Matthew Cross, and it was just so awesome to have everybody here, and Matt Manoa hanging out with us at the very end. Thank you guys so much for spending the evening with me, making some fun music, and I will see you next Tuesday, same time, same place. Good night.